Shalom Yashrala, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and our will. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I wanted to jump into, a little bit of some of this, how do I say, the backstory and the backdrop of a lot of these things that's popping off over in Ukraine, and why a lot of these things are so-called taking place. And you're hearing remarks from Vladimir Putin talking about the demilitarization and denazification of the Ukraine. And again, if you don't understand how these things are going back, where they're going back to, you wouldn't quite understand what they're really talking about. All right, now we're going to also get in the scriptures about how this is also fulfilling prophecy. All right, so all these things are pretty much woven together. So this is why we say, hey, we don't really look at what the news say. We filter the news through the scriptures, but more or less we look at what the prophecies say. All right, so this is Matthew 24. I'm starting at verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came up to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" Because we know that we're supposed to be measuring the time diligently based off of what? The visions, all right, the prophecies, all right? Now, one of the prophecies, one of the main ones that's speaking right now, in which people are, let me see, give me 1 second. All right, let me actually read it here. All right, the same is, we're reading the same thing, but, one of the major things that's going on right now is you have a lot of this here conflict that's going on in Russia and Ukraine. And, a lot of these people, they don't pay attention until, like, quote unquote shit starts happening. And then, they just run with the memes and the things that's on the internet, and they think that a lot of things is popping off, World War III and everything else like that. Hey, but they're misinformed about these things, and it's easy for, these Americans to follow off on the narrative of the things that they're saying on the news as far as, Russia's being the aggressor and all these things, And if you've been watching my channel for long enough, man, hey, you know that I be going into these certain things about, like, what's really going on behind the scenes of, like, yo, man, these are Ukraine, that's Russia to begin with. You have to go back, and we'll touch on some of the articles or some of these things lightly about how they got to this here point, all right? But again, they look at Russia as the aggressor. Yeah, they over here bombing, but they've had a whole year, if not, of not planning, but warnings of what's about to pop off, man. All right, and they've been talking about this thing for the whole last month and everything else like that. So it's not like, Russia just on some warpath type shit, man. They gave them an ultimatum. They gave them red lines and everything else like that. They've been having these meetings, but hey, America and NATO and the EU, they're not, and really they're just flexing, man. All right, they're using their how does the scripture say it? Transgressors by wand. All right, his philosophies and bullshit like that, man. He done propped up, because even if you listen to the Ukrainian president, he really not really rocking with the West like that, man. All right, because he's like, yo, y'all over here puffing up the smoke up Russia's ass, but we gonna be the ones that's gonna have the downfall about all these things, man. Y'all over here threatening Russia and everything else like that. It ain't Ukraine that's doing all that, man. All right, but what? They America them is arming them, giving them weapons and everything, but then what do you see Russia doing? Knocking out the arms that's going over there, because again, you have to understand what America's trying to do, put them weapons up on Russia's border to stage this here attack. All right, but again, look who's actually the victim here. Who's actually the casualties, man. All right, these so-called Ukrainians, which they basically are Russians over there, man. They're the ones that, what you will call basically a proxy war, man. America's using them as a proxy to get at Russia, man, because who is the blowback going to go back on? Them Ukrainians over there, right? and Russia. It's not these Americans. You see how they was doing all that woofing, but all they doing is sending so-called aid over there. They're not sending no troops over there. Like, nah, we ain't sending no troops. And they keep saying we'll defend every inch of NATO territory, but Ukraine ain't a part of NATO, man. All right, but nevertheless, because you would have World War III already popping off in full scale, where there would be nukes in the air right about now if that was the case, but it's not. All right, but nevertheless, let's go into this Mark 13 and getting to the point, verse 7. It says, "And when you should hear of wars and rumors of wars," all right, that's what we got going on. Wars and rumors of wars, conflicts is going on. All right, "Be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet." All right, so these things are taking place right now. All right, and what are the things? What's really going on? All right, Russia drew a red line in the sand, saying, "Hey, look, y'all got to stop advancing, towards our doorsteps." And this is going back to that so-called NATO pact. And you have to go back to the origins of a lot of things. Why was NATO even created? All right, the so-called stop Soviet Russia. Well, that don't even the USSR don't even exist no more. All right, so why the hell y'all still expanding over there, man? Russia wasn't a threat. Y'all, they throughout the Cold War, they pretty much turned Russia into a third world country. All right, their economy, their military, and everything had collapsed over in Russia, man. But then when you have Vladimir Putin get back in the office, all right, let me go ahead and grab that. Um, Matter of fact, well, let me come back to this. Let me grab this in what am I looking for? Okay, Proverbs 21. All right, Proverbs 21:1, it says, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water he turneth it so whithersoever he will." All right, and let's pair that with what we were just reading, Jeremiah 51 and 11. All right, because look, the Most High had raised up. Well, let me just read it. It says, Jeremiah 51:11, "Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes for his devices against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple." And so you can track this back as far back as when Vladimir Putin got in office. I believe it was around the time of like 2008 or something like that. I want to say George Bush was in office. But nevertheless, since that point in time, you've been seeing what the ruble get stronger. All right, there trade with these other countries on the international scale got bigger. You had Nord Stream 1. They trying to get the Nord Stream 2 popping. All right, to export natural gas out to Europe, which that's one of their biggest, not to say imports, but exports, where they get a lot of their money off of. You've also seen them preparing themselves in these other nations and being a garden to them, selling weapons nowadays, man. All right, advancing all these different things. All right, so the Most High is using, Vladimir Putin to bring them back into this here state, or bringing them into this superpower state, man. Bringing them back into a major player on the field, man. All right, but nevertheless, again, going back to what they did with this Cold War, all right, they pretty much took Russia all the way down. All right, now you had some nations that were a part of, this is former USSR countries, all right? So as you can see, you have, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, all right? And Ukraine is one of the major things that's going on in there. So again, when you're looking at these things, man, this would all just be Russia or the USSR. All right, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Armenia, Belarus, Georgia. All right, now we'll get into this Georgia situation because this was something that happened back in the day where basically Russia rolled up in there and took that back. All right, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan, Lithuania, can't pronounce that at the moment. Turkmenistan, Latvia, Estonia, Transnistria, I hadn't even heard of that one. As Azerbaijan, can't pronounce that one. Belarusian or Belarus, Moldova, Azerbaijan, Soviet Republic. Still going into the same things. We've already named them. Estonia, that's one of the ones we didn't name. But nevertheless, what they did was pretty much carve these out to be their own separate countries nowadays. But again, these would just be like, all right, so imagine if you have the United States, then all of a sudden you have different states that want to just break off. How they had a Brexit. Let's imagine you had a Texas. Texas succeeds, Florida succeeds, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Because you have these individual so-called states, but now they're coming back into becoming the United States again. All right, these were all basically a part of Russia. Now let's go into this was the in 2008. All right, well, Russia pretty much rolled up into Georgia, all right, and took them back. All right, now let's go. Now this is going into the Ukrainian situation right here. Now, what you have to go back into what they're talking about, this denazification situation. All right, basically, you got these puppets that's over there, right? Let me just get to the point. Where is it? Yanukovych. Yeah, right here. Just read the first paragraph. The revolution of dignity, all right, in Ukraine. This was noted as the Maidan Revolution. 2013-2014, it says, took place in Ukraine in February 2014. It was crazy. I believe it was on the exact same day that they popped off this time. All right, I don't know what, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, something like that. It says, at the end of the Euromaidan protest, when a series of violent events involving protesters, riot police, and unknown shooters in the Ukraine capital of Kiev culminated in the ousting of elected president Viktor Yanukovych and overthrow of the Ukrainian government. So in layman's terms, what happened was, America uses this shit, man. They go and they was having what they was calling it. They had a bunch of these different revolutions, the color revolutions, the Arab Springs, and all these things where they just uprooted all these governments, like, over in the Middle East, over in Russia, and everything else like that. These damn what they call coup d'états, man. All right, they go into these different nations and they overthrow their governments and stuff like this. So, in this scenario, what happened was, you had basically what they were saying was a Russian puppet that was the leader over there, which, again, they was Russians to begin with, all right? But nevertheless, or pro-Russians. So what happened was America and their little coup d'etat went over there and ousted them. Let's go and, you know what? We can grab another one. I want to say it's in Isaiah 14 as well. Isaiah 14:9, it says, Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from the thrones all the kings of the nations. All right, hey, this is what they go into, Habakkuk 2:5. Says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, and what is this going into? He goes into what they call coup d'etats, man. They overthrow governments, man. All right, and set up their puppets, and they pretty much steal these countries, but, they don't put up their own flag. They'll just make it seem like the same people is over there, but they have their own leaders that's running that area. And nevertheless, they'll steal the resources, all right, and cause whatever kind of havoc that they want, all right? But what are they trying to go for right now, man? If you go and you look up a Google map of what do you call NATO bases and American bases around the globe, you'll see that they pretty much have Russia surrounded, all right? Now they're trying to get these nations, these former USSR nations, all right, to become, either part of NATO or, some of their little friends and things like that, to basically station their weapons over there, all right? And so over the last month or two, what have you been hearing about? You've been hearing about how Britain and the rest of these damn NATO and EU nations have been pretty much funneling weapons over into the Ukraine, all right? Why would they be stockpiling these weapons over there? Again, it's a proxy war, basically. The West is pretty much putting arms and stuff over there in the Ukraine, all right? And what Russia's gonna say is like, nah, y'all not gonna sit here and set up and how you call it, what they call when you entrench yourself around somebody, basically, like you trying to starve somebody out. But nevertheless, in war, they do these type of tactics. Nevertheless, they pretty much entrenched around them, man, setting up these weapon depots around them, and which you started noticing Russia taking out, man. All right, they was taking out these armories. All right, they was taking out strategic military installments and things like that, because that was a stockpile of the shit that the Western countries was piling up over there, man. All right, so hey, and you kept hearing about the Ukrainian president kept talking about, hey man, stop with the blowing up the smoke about what Russia's about to do, because again, they are the ones going to be the victims of these things. But nevertheless, going back into what happened in the Ukraine, all right, back in the day, they pretty much overthrew the pro-Russian president and set up their own president. So then now you have these two different regions in the Donbass area, all right, who's still like, nah, we want to be pro-Russia, which is right there on the border of Russia, all right, and Russia just pretty much recognized them as, and there's been an ongoing conflict from then back and forth, man, because these people didn't want, when you really look into it, these people really don't want this guy that's over there, because again, it don't benefit none of those people. Who are the people that's actually losing out over there, man? The civilians, all right? Who's over there gaining? The Western side, man, all right? Because they gaining by what? Getting their weaponry positioned up around Russia like that, man. All right, who's the one that's actually getting their economy collapsed over there, man? Who's the one over there getting things stopped and slowed down and bombed up over there? It's the civilians, man. All right, America, man, not losing out on nothing over there, man. So this is what they call like a proxy war and everything else like that. So again, from Vladimir Putin's stance, he's seeing these things going on. All right, he's like, nah, y'all not gonna sit here and surround me like that, man. All right, let's go grab this as well. Oh, wait, let's go back to that real quick. Verse 6, Habakkuk 2:6, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, and so, hey, man, they over here with their unlimited military budget, just still sending in arms and everything else like that, man. Ultimately, and now they're trying to cut Russia off from the SWIFT program and everything else like that, basically from international trades and everything else like that. There's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes as well too, going into this global economic collapse. But nevertheless, one day these nations are going to start waking up to these things, man. They're going to start waking up to how they've been being played by ultimately the West, man. America and NATO and the EU, man. They're being played for a fool over these things, man. All right, this is what you're starting to see Zelensky over here talking about. Like, yo, man, like, if y'all was going to aid us, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can't go over here and keep provoking Russia and then only going to send over here weapons, but then y'all ain't going to send no troops over here, man. It'd be easy for Russia to take out their whole military, but what is America and them going to do? They're not a part of NATO. They ain't going to send troops over there to try to aid them. What they'll do is they'll go on the TV and say, oh, this is such a horrible thing. We condemn them, to further try to economically cut off Russia, all right, and just to get closer up around them so when it's time for them to go to war, they can have a so-called strategic location to wage war at, all right? But now let's go into what do I want to grab first? Well, we can just grab this precept real quick. Not trying to make this too long, but just touching on some of the key important things that's popping off right now, all right? Because we go through this a lot in Ezekiel 38 about, Russia with this conglomeration of many nations and things like that, man. All right, but one of the important things that's taking place right now is Ezekiel 38 and verse 4 says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws and bring thee forth, all right? And so, hey, going back into putting them hooks into the jaws of Russia and bringing them back to what? That Soviet state, man. All right, again, you starting to see a lot of these different nations coming back. All right, so you see Georgia came back. Here's what you call CSTO members. All right, it says the CSTO members: Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. All right, but nevertheless, some of these, or pretty much all of these, were all part of the USSR, man. All right. Wanted to grab one more thing. I don't know if we mentioned Belarus, but nevertheless, you can read through this here article real quick, but I've done a video on it beforehand, but nevertheless, as far as going into their their allies, more or less to say, but what you see going on right now is what we're reading here in Ezekiel 38. It says, Ezekiel 38 and 4 says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right, the point we wanted to focus in on was what? Putting hooks back into the jaws, bringing them back into that Soviet state again, man. All right, so, hey, when you see Russia talking about they want to get rid of these, what they call them, denazification and everything else like that, it's basically saying they want to get rid of them Western puppets over there, man. Are they trying to get these Western people from over here, the so-called Western puppets from swindling these people or trying to propagate these people, man? Because again, you have to understand that they're just using these talking head figures as the so-called puppets, but the people don't really, we can give you an example. Venezuela, right? If they was able to get Juan Guaido over there, all right, the Venezuelan people, the people themselves would not benefit from that, man. You think that they would set up their puppet over there and then just make it better for the actual citizens of that Venezuela? No, man. They would just take all the resources and the oil and everything, line their pockets with that, and say to hell with those people, man. Look at all these other countries that America got their hands up in and everything else like that. Like, look at you can look at a lot of the, like, Haiti and all them, the Latin American countries and things like that. These people, they all Jake, but they in hellhole places while they got their own puppets sitting up over top, stealing all the resources, man. All right, so hey, man, this is going into prophecy of Russia being brought back to that Soviet state. But hey, I wanted to just bring this here point back up. Yea, also Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgresses by one. All right. Oh yeah, we'll go over there and help you. We'll defend all of our allies. We'll make sure that these things don't happen. But then hey, it's not. It wasn't Ukraine that was talking shit to Russia. It was America and the West talking shit to Russia. It was them that didn't want to come to any kind of agreements. The Russian they had talks like, yo, man. All right, these are our red lines. First of all, Ukraine cannot become part of NATO. What did America and them say? Oh, well, if they want to become a part of NATO, that's on them. You can't tell them they can't be a part of NATO. Then he was like, yo, y'all got to start moving some of y'all military weapons from up off our borders. They was like, we ain't moving shit. So what do you think Russia's going to be forced to do, man? All right, what happened with Cuba? All right, in the Cuban Missile Crisis, man. All right, they was like, look, bro, y'all can't be having y'all weapons 90 miles off our border of Florida. All right, or shit, we gonna put sanctions on Cuba. And look, it's still like that to the same day. So how much more the opposite that's going on right now, man? All right, it says, yeah, also because he transgresses by one, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, man. All right, not to reign side by side with them to make their lives better, but to do what? To actually steal their resources, man. All right, he goes into what you call a coup d'etat, overthrow these governments so they can just steal the resources, man, or use them for their own benefits. And in this sense, they trying to use these people that's close to Russia for that position, man, so they can wage war. All right, they don't give a damn about those people over there, man. All right, and who's the people? Who's actually suffering any losses over there, man? All right, it's gonna be those Ukrainians or those Russians over there, man. It ain't gonna be none of the Western people. All right, they're gonna be sitting back from their high towers and everything else like that, while these people are in the middle of a theater of war. All right, but nevertheless, as we see these things taking place, man, and you seeing prophecy being fulfilled, man, you seeing Russia being brought back to that USSR state and everything else like that, being prepared ultimately for what? The day of the Lord, man, when they actually go to World War III with America and them. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that taught us his truth and never will. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, pushing his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Till next time, I say, stay strong, shalom.